What is up, you guys? It is another episode of the Sci-Fly Zone where the multiverse meets the seventh inning stretch. It's your boys Trenton and CJ, and today's destination is taking us back to the multiverse as we're going to the MCU and we're going to be discussing two primary topics going on in discussion for Avengers Doomsday, and that is Kang the Conqueror and Wonder Man. It's heavily rumored that Kang will appear in Avengers Doomsday, but in what capacity and how he'll be handled is still a complete mystery to everyone. Not only with how much screen time the character and his variants are going to have, but also if Jonathan Majors is going to be reprising the role. So today, we'll be discussing what theories in regards to Kang and his variants make the most sense for Avengers Doomsday, and we'll also be discussing if it's possible for us to see our boy Wonder Man in Avengers Doomsday as well. So, CJ, will Jonathan Majors return as Kang the Conqueror?
I think he will. I think there's a good chance that he does. Obviously, there's been talks about some recasting for a couple years, honestly, at this point. But yeah, I think that they're probably gonna go with Jonathan Majors. If Kang is on screen, it's probably going to be played by Jonathan Majors again. To what capacity? I think that he's probably not going to have a lot of screen time. I think he's probably going to be in there for a couple scenes at most, and I think it's probably going to explain his absence for the rest of the movie. I imagine it's going to be pretty early on in the movie. I don't know if it's going to be the opening scene of the movie, but maybe the first time we see Doom, we see him going through and like obliterating the Council of Kangs. I think that would be a pretty seamless way to like set up Doom as the main villain of this movie and like show what the actual threat of it is, because obviously Kang was set up to be the main villain of this next phase of Marvel. They were going to have the Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars after that. So if you have Doctor Doom come in and take out the guy that we all thought was going to be the main villain in the first place, that just establishes Doom even more. And like especially after that end credit scene in a Quantum Mania unveiling the Council of Kings, everybody kind of went, wow, the good guys might actually be screwed this time. So to see somebody else come in and take them all out, either single-handedly or maybe he has Doom bots with him too, I think that would really set up Doom as a huge multiversal threat. But yeah, I think that's probably going to be the most that Kang is in the movie. I don't think he's going to have a ton of speaking lines. I think that he's probably going to be used more so to set up the main villain of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. So you think not only Kang, he's going to be in the movie, but his purpose in the movie is going to be decimated by Doctor Doom to establish how lethal he's going to be.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I think that makes sense. I also think Majors has a pretty decent chance of reprising his role as well, due to the fact that a majority of the Kang variants, including the leaders of the Council of Kangs, have Majors' face. So it would be pretty jarring for them to just abandon his face entirely and not explain away the change in universe. And in regards to the recast that you were talking about, there have been pretty recent reports of Coleman Domingo, who's a very successful actor and voice actor of Norman Osborn in the newly released animated Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show. And he's in talks with Kevin Feige for a role in the MCU, which people have been heavily speculating to be a Kang recast. So, I think he would be amazing for Kang, but I mean, he's an amazing actor, so he would be amazing for many roles in the MCU. So, let's just say they do end up going with a recast. Do you think they would hire such an amazing actor just for a short appearance and for that appearance to be in purpose of just getting killed?
That is a good question. I mean, Coleman Domingo as Kang would be great. He would do such a good job, but with that, you would kind of want him to have time to be great and do a great job. You wouldn't want him to come in and just die off like at the beginning of the movie. So if they do go with the Coleman Domingo recast, they can use Kang a little bit more in the movie and explore where he's at and what happens to him throughout the movie. But yeah, I feel like if they brought Coleman Domingo in as Kang and then just had him get killed by Doom, I think that would be a little disappointing and maybe not using him to his full potential. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think having Majors come back to get killed just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And also, like, in a way, it's kind of cathartic to what happened in real life as to how he lost the role. So it's kind of funny how he would come back just to, get destroyed.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But I
I
would
there,
respect Majors for doing that though. Like anyway, like in purpose of what the story needs.
yeah, 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 for sure. There is a chance that Kang isn't on screen at all, and we don't even see him get killed or the Council of Kangs getting destroyed. And maybe they just reference him. Maybe they just reference He Who Remains, or maybe they reference one of the members, like one of the three heads of the council, basically. Um,
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. I was
mm,
going to say because I think Kang is destined for doom, no pun intended. I just don't think there's any way around that storyline other than him getting killed. But I was going to ask, like, do you think there's a way that either Doctor Doom or maybe the TVA informs us that all the Kangs were killed off screen? Like kind of like how Thanos destroyed Xandar to get the Power Stone before the beginning of Infinity War. He decimated the Nova Corps, but we never saw it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely a possibility. I could for sure see them going with that and just having like a character explain to us what happened to Kang off screen and not actually show it. There's a chance they might not even like if Kang doesn't show up on screen, I feel like there's a chance they don't even mention him by name. Maybe they just mention like him vaguely, or like they mentioned the council or all of these multiversal variants that we're fighting. Like if he's not in the movie, I think that there's gonna be very minimal references to him in any way. But yeah, I mean, Doom would be a great character to give that explanation, I think, because if he's the one responsible for Kang not being in the movie, it would make sense for him to tell us why like why that's the case and what happened to him.
Yeah, like maybe he can, blame him for being the reason he was kept off this timeline.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like Doom could definitely twist it in a way that like Doom sees himself as the protagonist in this movie, sort of like what how Thanos saw himself as the protagonist in the Infinity Saga. Doom thinks that he is doing the right thing, and he thinks that he's the good guy, and that the people stopping him are wrong. So he could totally spin it in a way to make himself seem like a hero while still disguising that like the plan that he actually has, like he's going to be the one to take over his place. He's not just taking out Kang so nobody destroys the multiverse. He wants to do it himself.
Yeah, dude, he's literally a cosmic level kingpin.
And tried to make this city a better place. The people in power decided to tear me down with false allegations. They sent someone to frame me. Daredevil.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
Yeah, because Kingpin, I mean, he's all about, I want to save the city. The city is terrible and only I can save it.
Yeah.
But in reality, he's just killing people.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Yeah.
killing people, drugs, human trafficking, all the above. And yes, he's mainly going after criminals, but a lot of innocent people are collateral damage, and he does not care who is collateral damage. And I think Doctor Doom is probably going to be the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I feel like he, instead of him trying to save his city, he's trying to save his multiverse, and it's just on like a much larger scale. And I think that Doom would view the people who die in order for him to get that goal is probably just the price you have to pay. Kind of like what Kingpin thought. Like there are going to be casualties with doing this on such a mass scale. So I think that
some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Yeah, that shows like even more parallels to like between Doom and Kingpin, I feel like.
Yeah, I do think that is probably one of the more likely ways that they'll go about it. Like it would be kind of cool if Doom just showed up with like a piece of Kang's suit or maybe like one of his variants helmets and was just like, this guy, he singled out your guys' timeline. That's how powerful this guy was. He was leading your every move. And
and look at what I did. Yeah.
Look who's in charge.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he could have like if he like ends up storming the TVA and takes that over, maybe he could have like his own room with all the Kang variants like gear and like armor and suits that they were wearing, like the Ramatut one, the Centurion, like just showing it off basically, like
Yeah.
as if it's like sport.
Yeah, that would be super cool. Do you think there's also a possibility we just get no reference to Kang at all?
Yeah, I do think that's a possibility as well. I hope it's not the case, but I do
Me
really think
too.
that I do think that it's a possibility. I mean, Marvel distanced themselves from Jonathan Majors and the Kang storyline basically as soon as they could, and have not really shown any signs that they plan on bringing him back. There hasn't really been any teasers or any substantial leaks of like what Kang could do in the movie. So I do think that there's a real chance that they just don't, they just like kind of sweep it under the rug. Um, it's going to be a bulky movie. There's going to be a lot going on in this movie. It's going to be a long movie, and you can take from that either, okay, then they should have plenty of time to give Kang a little bit of on-screen time or reference him. If it's going to be so long, you can put him in there for a little bit, or you could view it as there are so many other storylines also going on and so many teams that need to form and be not established but like explained, like what's going on with them right now. You have like Yelena's Avengers, you have Sam's Avengers, you have the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and Doctor Doom. That's a lot of
And the
story.
Wakandans.
And the Wakandans. That's a lot of story to get through, and that's a lot of character building that you need to do. So there is a real chance that some people just might not even be thinking about Kang when they're watching the movie because of how much other stuff is going on. And I feel like Marvel's aware of that, and I do think that's something that they would be willing to do. Just not really mention him at all and just establish Doom as a real threat.
I hope so, but I also do hope that they like truly understand the magnitude of how many super fans they have and how many people like you and me are paying attention to things like this.
Yeah, for sure. And there are a lot of people who are really still invested in Kang and are really wanting him to come back. And if you go into the movie and you're hoping that Kang's going to show up, and you're just thinking, okay, where's Kang? Where's Kang? When's Kang going to be here? And you're just thinking of that throughout the whole like 3 hour plus movie, then you're not going to be able to really engage with some of the other stories going on.
Very true.
So like if he is going to be in it, like I think like what we were saying earlier, it would probably be at the start, and it would explain his absence for the rest of the movie. But there's a real chance that they just don't really say anything about him.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder, man.
Speaking of which,
Yes. Speaking of which, recently actually a channel that CJ and I both watch on YouTube. We watch it a lot, heavily respect it, enjoy it, called A Bit of Everything. They recently released a video focused on the MCU and MCU adjacent movies or shows that should be watched in preparation for Avengers Doomsday. And to our surprise, he said that Wonder Man may not be required viewing for Doomsday because he thinks Wonder Man will likely not appear in Doomsday. And this was very surprising to CJ and I because Mr. Everything is very knowledgeable of the MCU and timelines and all that stuff. So his input is definitely one to like factor in and listen to. So when we heard this, we were like, wow. Like we thought Wonder Man was going to have a decent chance of appearing in Avengers Doomsday. So like that statement from him kind of brought up this whole idea of wanting to discuss the likelihood of Wonder Man being in the movie or not, because we want him to be in the movie. He seems like a really interesting and cool character, and he's supposed to be insanely powerful. So what do you think, CJ? Do you think Wonder Man's going to be in it?
I think there's a real chance that he's going to be in the movie. Yeah, I think there's totally a chance that Wonder Man could show up in Doomsday. With the good guys fighting Doom and fighting the fights that they're going to be fighting, they're probably going to need somebody with Wonder Man's powers. Obviously, in the comics, he's one of the most powerful characters. Like, he's got superhuman strength. He's basically invulnerable. He has energy manipulation. He can fly, and he's essentially immortal. So, like, I do believe we're going to see how Wonder Man gets his powers in the Wonder Man show, but they could absolutely use someone like Wonder Man in this movie. And I think he would fit right in with either Sam's Avengers or Yelena's Avengers. Like, I think he could fit in character-wise and combat-wise. He could provide a really cool aspect to either of those teams. So yeah, I was surprised, just like you, to hear that A Bit of Everything didn't think that he was going to be in the movie. I do think there's a chance that he's going to be in it.
Me too. And one thing that, like, unfortunately makes the whole decision on if he is going to be in the movie or not a bit more ambiguous is that the show is going to be set in January 2026, basically in present time. Even though the MCU is currently, if we're taking off in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene we're in 2028 because that movie took place in 2027. Then the post-credit scene had the 14-month time jump. So this show is taking place almost 2 years before the beginning of the Thunderbolts movie. And the show will likely take place over the span of like no longer than a month or two, I would suppose. Because like shows typically don't take that long in terms of like their storyline. But movies, they have a lot more freedom to kind of, do time jumps and stuff like that. So if that is the case where the show is taking place over like just a month or two, then after the show's over, then that's going to be almost 2 years of unaccounted time that Wonder Man can spend getting better, getting closer to other Avengers, and also he has to be part of the West Coast Avengers setup in some capacity. I mean, he's in Los Angeles. He's going to be one of the most powerful guys, and he's part of the team in the comics too. So he's going to be a really important character. So I guess if he is going to be in Doomsday, then that's going to imply he's going to probably survive Doomsday and probably survive Secret Wars, because I don't see them just giving him a show and then putting him in 2 movies and then he's dead. Like I feel like they're going to do a lot more with this character because he's capable of doing so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I think there's a really good chance that he survives into the next phase of the Marvel cinematic universe. I would be shocked if he doesn't. Like you said, it would be weird for him to get his own show and then die within the next 2 movies, and the first 2 movies that he would appear in on screen. And like the West Coast Avengers, we need that. I really want to see that, and he would be crucial to that team. So that would be great. This is likely going to be the last show we get before Doomsday. I don't know if we're going to get Vision Quest beforehand. They say it's coming out in 2026, but they don't even have like a month set for it. So there's a chance that gets pushed back. So if Wonder Man is the show directly before Doomsday, I think it would make sense for him to be in Doomsday, despite the time difference and how much time would pass. Like you said, that could be a time for him to like harness his powers and really develop them and get a hold of them, So I think there's a good chance that he shows up. Maybe the end of Wonder Man even sets up his future and where he is going to be going, and like give us a better understanding of whether he's going to be in Doomsday, if he's going to be interacting with some of these other heroes, and like really what he's going to be getting up to. Because I really hope that they use this character well, because there's a lot of potential with this character, and there's a lot of potential for him to do great things. And even if he is in Doomsday, there's going to be a portion of the audience, maybe a big portion of the audience, who didn't watch Wonder Man before watching Doomsday. So that could be their first introduction to him in Marvel, would be like one of the biggest, most crucial movies that Marvel has ever come out with. So I think like that would be a really good chance for him to win people over and really show his potential and why he should be a big part of the future of Marvel.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just don't know why they wouldn't capitalize on the opportunity of it coming out so close to Doomsday and not taking that hype and momentum for that character and having that be a factor into the hype of Doomsday. Like, I just think that makes a lot of sense to do as a company. Like,
Yeah.
I understand it might be hard to write him in, but got the best writers in the world, figure it out. You can do it. I know you can.
Yeah.
Look at all these comics. Like the panels alone have more guys than are going to be in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. We don't need Wonder Man to be the next Shang-Chi, but we can't introduce him in a movie or a show and then have him never show up again.
Totally.
They need to, like you said, capitalize on the momentum, follow up with the character, keep putting him in places where he's getting noticed and having his character develop. Because Wonder Man, if he is in Doomsday, he's not going to be probably one of the main characters, I don't imagine, but it is time for him to develop his character, develop his story arc, and they can work with that into other projects, or maybe a second season of Wonder Man, or maybe he's featured in a movie or something like that. So yeah, there's a lot of good things that they can do with this.
Yeah. And there's also rumors, this is kind of unrelated to Doomsday, but there are rumors that Wonder Man is going to tie into Vision Quest, because in the comics, Wonder Man's brain was more or less a template for Vision's. So they might be using the same technology that created White Vision to give Wonder Man his powers. So that might be a link between the two series. And there are plot rumors that the final episodes of the Wonder Man show are going to directly tie into Vision Quest. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I would like that. I think that would be great. I'm really looking forward to Vision Quest. I'm really looking forward to Wonder Man. So yeah, I hope they can find a way to tie the two together and make it make sense.
Yeah, and if they're going to be doing that, that's only going to be creating more momentum for the Wonder Man character, because Vision Quest is going to be dealing, with Wanda's kids and stuff like that, and, White Vision. Coming to terms with himself and possibly even being a more powerful version of the previous Vision. So, like, there's a lot of things at play there, and, to have Wonder Man factor into that. And also, White Vision, West Coast Avengers. Come on, fellas. The ball's already rolling. Add the momentum. Come on.
Yeah, man. The exposure is going to be really important for the Wonder Man character. Getting him in roles, getting him on screen, having people see him and get familiar with him more. Because the promotion for the Wonder Man show has been kind of iffy, I'd say. There have been some really good stuff that's gotten a lot of attention, but there's also been not a ton of it, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't feel like they've been promoting this as they have other shows or other movies in the past. And that's a little unfortunate, but I don't think it's going to have a huge factor in the quality of the show. I think the show is still going to be really good. We saw that in 2025, Marvel doesn't have to break box office records or have the biggest box office of the year to have a good movie or a good project. Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four, I'd say, were two of those that weren't really, like, when released in theaters, they weren't exactly the highest grossing movies of the year. But the people that watched it really enjoyed them and gave great reviews. And even if it's not going to be the biggest show, I do think that the people who do watch it are going to have good reactions from it.
Yeah, totally. I have really high hopes for this show. I'm really hoping that Kingo makes a cameo. I think that would make perfect sense considering he's one of Bollywood's biggest stars. I feel like he could maybe slip in and be like, hey, who do you think you are? Another super powered being in Hollywood? Yeah, you don't think I don't know? Something like that. Because there's also not supposed to be super powered beings in Hollywood anymore.
True. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, I do hope Kingo shows up in it. Kumail Nanjiani signed like I think it was like at least a 5-year deal, maybe even like 7 years with Marvel when he was cast in the Eternals. So, and then they just wanted us to completely forget about it after that movie came out. They have not done anything with them since, and I don't think they're going to really be doing anything with the Eternals in the future. But Kingo is a great character. I really liked him, and I think it would make sense for him to show up in this show, and I think it would be a good cameo.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know how much this would stray away from the plot, but since it's Hollywood, I think Mephisto needs to make an appearance as well. When we did the trailer breakdown, I said the same thing, so I'm going to keep saying it. I think, there needs to be like some actor, some scene, like making a deal with the devil, in exchange for fame or success. Like there has to, I think it'd be really cool if they did something like that. Like maybe he can be tempted, but he'll decline and still find another way to be successful anyway.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, that's going to be our video today discussing Kang and Wonder Man. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys think if Kang's going to come back and how he's going to come back, if Wonder Man's going to be in the movie or not. We're all interested to see what you guys have to say. And if you have any topics that you want us to discuss, just let us know in the comments as well. And please drop a like if you made it this far. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace.